Good morning, everyone, and welcome to video number 6, where I will be discussing the concept of HIME, which stands for High Impact Minimal Effort. So before I start sharing my screen, I just want you to understand my perspective as to productivity. And my perspective, unlike some of the research out there today, is that we can be productive all day long, not necessarily in the morning hours, not necessarily around 11 a.m. We can be productive all day long. It's just that we can be productive for different things all day long. So in the morning, we can be productive for A, in the noon for B, in the afternoon for C, and at night for completely different things. So we want to create a workday where we have energy levels that are systematic and ongoing, and that we don't have these leaps of losing energy throughout our day. But we don't have to necessarily aim all the hard tasks or start everything early in the morning, or we only have 2 hours to be on our best performance. No, we can be at our best performance all day long. It's just that we need to schedule different things for different parts of the day. That way we can create a full 12 hours of everything: sports and leisure and relationship and work, and time for daydreaming and anything you want to put into your 12 or 16 hours while you're awake, and making sure you are productive, as I said, all day long. So let's see how do we bring that into action. So let me share my screen. So as I said, HIME, my first book is in process, HIME Your Time, or Survival Kit for Working and Living in the Digital Era. So HIME stands for High Impact Minimal Effort. And the idea is that we want to schedule every task that we have to when it's going to require the least amount of effort and will then give us the maximum impact. Now, HIME is a super subjective term, and we each have different HIME for different tasks. So what would seem relatively easier to someone to do at 11 o'clock in the morning, for someone else would seem ridiculously difficult. We need to basically better understand ourselves, our communication preferences, and our energy levels throughout the day. And by understanding ourselves better, we can start aligning other people around us to our own HIME, so we can be at our best performance throughout the day. The idea is that we can never reach 100%. We will never be able to build a workday that is absolutely 100% around our own HIME, where we're just moving from doing things that are relatively easier in the morning to things that are relatively easier for us at noon, and so on. But we do have to adjust ourselves to others around us. So the idea is to find the right ratio, to not all the time work on our HIME, but if we can put ourselves to 70-80% of our time to schedule our tasks in accordance to our own subjective HIME, then we're already going to see incredible results as to our efficiency, our productivity, and our overall happiness. And then we can adjust ourselves for 20-30% of the time to other people's HIME, because let's say I'm not a very morning person for certain things. I'm great for yoga in the morning. I'm great for daydreaming. I'm great for email. I'm great for social media in the morning, but I'm not great for meetings or phone calls. If I could choose, I would schedule my meetings and phone calls as from 1 p.m. and further down. But I'm not like everyone else, and other people would actually prefer to start their workday with meetings or phone calls, and only at noon get to their emails and work quietly on their computer, and maybe be active on social media only at night. So we all have very different preferences. So the idea is that if I do things out of my HIME, let's say I schedule meetings in the morning or I schedule phone calls in the mornings, if I do it every day, then I am draining my internal energy very quickly and tiring myself in the process of trying to be productive. But if only for 20% of the time I'm conducting meetings and phone calls in the morning, then I'm okay with balancing my energy levels, and I'm able to not tire myself out through the process. So the idea is that you adjust yourself for about 20-30% of the time to other people's preferences in HIME. But once you are aware of your own preferences and you are able to communicate it better to your colleagues, your teammates, your supervisors, then you are able to make better scheduling of your entire workday, so that for 70% of the time you are doing the things that you have to do on your own preferences. So as I said, for example, phone calls is something that for me is ridiculously difficult to do during morning time, as it requires a lot of energy. So if I could choose, I would schedule them around 1 to 3. So anyone who wants to schedule a phone call with me, first and foremost, I will try to adjust it to my own HIME. If it's urgent and if it needs to be done and we can't find a date that that surrounds my own HIME, then of course I will adjust myself to the other person, and I will happily schedule a phone call at 9 o'clock in the morning. If it's important and urgent, it needs to be done as soon as possible. For example, my husband is completely opposite. He could do most of his phone calls during morning hours, 8 o'clock, driving to the office. He's got an hour in the car. He'll do about 20 phone calls, and he'll talk to I don't know how many people, and I would sometimes sit with him in the car and be amazed by his ability to conduct all these phone calls consecutively, one after the other, without losing energy, without requiring any energy from him. Actually, it works even the other way around. He receives energy from these phone calls, and then by the time he gets to the office, he's already finished half of his things for the day, because he spoke to so many people, back-to-back phone calls in his car. For me, the idea of having back-to-back phone calls in morning hours is just hell. So we're very, very different from one another, and we all need to understand ourselves better, and then align our schedule in accordance, so we can be productive and maintain our energy levels throughout the day, without collapsing or tiring ourselves in the process.